Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core."
It should come as no surprise that Hillary Clinton comes with just as much hatred and bigotry as every single politician we just watched in those clips. But she just went on the Morning Joe show to talk about how the right-wing, white, Christian men of America are actually the problem, and that we've always been the problem.
The idea that you could turn the clock back and try to recreate a world that never was, dominated by, let's say it, white men of a certain persuasion, a certain religion, a certain point of view, a certain ideology, it's just doing such damage to what we should be aiming for. And we were on the path toward that. I mean, imperfectly, lots of, bumps along the way, but I agree with you, we were on the right trajectory.
And it shouldn't be shocking for us to see Hillary Clinton say things like this. She was the one that coined the term deplorables during the presidential race of 2016. So, she was the one that started this outward hatred of the entire conservative base amongst the Democratic Party. There wasn't this generalization of Republicans during that time. Everyone kind of still agreed that we were all Americans. We might disagree on one topic, one issue at a time, but we otherwise were Americans. And while I do find Hillary Clinton's comments here completely evil and rhetoric that will just continue to inflame hate amongst the Democratic base that has violence in their blood, I think that she's still walking the fence of calling for violence and anything that would even really be considered hate speech. I don't really personally believe in hate speech. I believe in free speech. When it comes to Hillary and the Democrats saying things like this, don't get me wrong, I cannot stand it whatsoever. I think it's evil. I think it's awful. I don't think they should do it. Do I think they should be allowed to do it, though? That's a different question. I do think they should be allowed to say these things as long as they're not specifically calling for violence. I personally don't believe that that's anything that should be illegal. Evil, yes. Illegal, no. Call to violence, illegal. Lying about someone's moral fabric, wrong. We need to condemn the lying of others in public and charge calls to violence. When hate speech laws are mentioned, it's a slippery slope, and I don't want to see the United States come to a point where we're charging people for saying mean things on Facebook. We're seeing that happen in the UK right now, and I have a couple stories to go over regarding this, where policemen are just straight up showing up to people's houses and arresting them in the middle of the night. We have the British Patriot on Twitter here reposting a story about a guy who had police show up at his house at midnight, do a full body search, arrested him, detained him, and this is all for posting on social media. I mean, like, the guy's post, don't get me wrong, the guy's post was hate. It was hate. He said mean things. That did happen. But that should not be a reason for police officers to show up to your house. I would imagine that most leftists who have justified political violence against conservatives and justified the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I would imagine they would not want conservative politicians sending police to their house about mean things that they said about conservatives online. If you're calling for violence, there should be consequences for that. But if you're just stating an opinion about a specific group, that's absurd. I don't think that police should be showing up to your house. Let's go ahead and watch this short video about this guy's experience.
If you've got stuff you'd like to gather, obviously I'm more than willing to talk through what you're able to take with you.
What, you're taking me away now?
Yes. So you're under arrest, so you're going to Harrogate, unfortunately.
You're taking me to Harrogate in the middle of the night over a tweet?
I am, unfortunately.
Is this what you signed up the police to do?
This is my role. I'm trying to be reasonable with you here.
So
if there's stuff you'd like to gather, I'm more than willing to allow you to gather some sort of stuff like medication, if you've got any numbers you need. But at the moment...
You join the police to go and arrest people at night for tweets online?
Do you need any medication? I can't imagine that you are going to be in very long, but do you need any medication?
This police officer is just such a joke. Like, he clearly doesn't agree with these policies, yet he's enforcing them because it's his job. It's what we saw during COVID too, with the masks and with police officers going into churches and shutting down congregations. It's really a problem, but it's morally wrong. It's morally wrong, okay? We have to have the right to speak our minds, because if we don't, then they're going to be made up by someone else.
That you take at night?
No.
No. Do you need anything else you can think of? Wallet? Do you want to change your shoes or out?
I'd like to put some shoes on if that's alright with you.
Of course it is.
Righty, huh?
We will give you a search here.
Search? What?
Yeah, just to make sure there's nothing in your pocket that you can harm yourself with whilst you're being transported in the van. We're going to do it in here rather than outside so all your neighbours can gawk.
Oh, fill your boots, mate. I'm good. You do understand that I'm going to make a maximum fuss about this free speech union.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys just doing your jobs, obviously, but your dickhead bosses have just opened up a world of shit.
Trust me, if I didn't have to be here, I wouldn't have been. But I'm happy to give you...
I'm quite certain you two have got like 50 better things to do.
And to give some additional context into what happened in this case, to have the police show up to this guy's house at midnight, I'll go ahead and read this Fox News report here. A blogger has blasted British police after they arrested him for sharing a meme on social media that read, F Hamas. Pete North, 47, filmed officers arriving at his Yorkshire home in the UK on September 25th, telling him he was being detained because he had posted something on the internet that a member of their hate crime team didn't appreciate. The shocking footage shows an officer explaining that North was being arrested on suspicion of publishing or distributing written material intended to stir up racial hatred. The post in question has been shared by North on X and featured a Palestinian flag with the words F Palestine, F Hamas, F Islam, want to protest, F off to Muslim country and protest. And this was definitely in response to the Muslim and Islamic protests that were going on in the UK after the murder of a few girls at a Taylor Swift dance party. And extreme Palestinian activists took to the streets to fight for the side of murderers. We have this story here from the New York Post, and it also explains the scale of the problem, how many actual arrests are being made every day when it comes to cases like this. So let's go ahead and break it down a little bit. This woman you see on the screen right here is named Bernadette Spoforth, and she says, I don't think I'll ever recover, after she spent 36 hours in a British jail over social media posts that contained mild inaccuracy. And the mild inaccuracy they're describing here is that she blamed illegal immigrants for a awful attack on a Taylor Swift dance party that resulted in the murder of 3 young girls by a 17-year-old domestic-born British citizen. He was a young black man who went on a rampage, killing the 3 girls and harming many others. She went ahead and reposted on X someone else's content that was blaming newly arrived immigrants for the crime, and soon after she deleted it, but still 4 police officers arrived at her home days later, and she was placed under arrest. She was under arrest for 36 hours after that. 36 hours. I know the leftists out there don't want to be arrested for the hate that they're spewing online right now when it comes to conservatives. I know the Republicans don't want to be arrested for any hate that they may hold for leftists. I think people in the United States have always thought of the UK as having freedom of speech and being just about as free as we are. But it's clear that the government in the UK is going after people just about their posts online. So what safety do you have in the public square at all in the UK anymore? You do not have freedom of speech in the UK in any way, shape, or form. If you say anything that might hurt the sensitivities of an immigrant, you're probably going to end up in jail for at least 36 hours. You have Keir Starmer over here talking about the importance of free speech and its value to the British society.
Thank you, Compton. Free speech, free speech. Free speech is a British value and we have guarded it for centuries.
So it's kind of hard to believe him when they're arresting 30 people a day based on their online speech. We're coming to a point in time where governments want to say that hate speech is not free speech, but hate speech is always going to be subjective to the person making the rule. I don't want to go the direction the UK is going. I hope you don't either. Let me know in the comments below. This is Aaron West again with From Left to Right. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.